Hey guys, hey, thanks for tuning in to Tola Talks. This is episode 200. Tola Talks goes back to September 1st of 2014. That was the original on LA Talk Radio. Give a shout out to Sam over there and all the guys. Thanks for getting me started. But here we are live. And again, you're on YouTube, Tola Talks. Thanks for subscribing for that, for watching. Guys on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook and all that. You see me out there. But today we're talking about two things. And no, we're not talking about the SNAP benefits of 42 million people that aren't being paid. No, we're not talking about the government shutdown for almost a record here, because that's all negative. We're talking about positive things today. What are we talking about? First, women's volleyball. Oh, let me tell you about that. And number two, we're going to talk about one of my favorite movies that I watched again over the weekend, Dirty Dancing. But let me jump right into this, because after the conclusion of women's basketball, right, I started watching women's volleyball. And it can be a little confusing at times, but today we're going to talk about women's volleyball, and we're going to talk about the top 10 lessons learned from women's volleyball, because there's a lot you can learn from it. And I think every female, every child in the country should be watching women's volleyball, especially women's college. And every student I've ever taught, right, in these inner city high schools, you guys read the book, The Sub, you should be watching this, because there's so much to learn from these women. All right, look at this. So over the weekend, since Halloween, I watched Rutgers, Indiana, Maryland, Michigan State, UCLA, Northwestern, my alma mater, Washington, Purdue, Michigan, Oregon, Ohio State, and Nebraska. Nebraska Cornhuskers, let me get a shout out to them, because their coach, Danny Busman Kelly, she's the best coach probably in the world at this point in time, because the Cornhuskers, a.k.a. the Huskies, Big Red, they're the best team in the nation by far. Watched all these teams. These are all like top 10 teams. And let me tell you, they are yards above everyone else. They're the only unbeaten team in the nation. They're 22-0, 12-0 in the Big Ten Conference, which is the best conference. They've won 40 sets in a row, guys. Now, it takes 3 sets to win a game. That goes back 14 games ago. So they're beyond unbeaten. All right, let me give a shout out to their stars. Harper Murray, one of the best outside hitters, probably the best outside hitter in the country. You got Bergen Riley, best setter in the country. There's all sorts of great players. You got middle blocker Rebecca Alec. She's awesome. The leaning tower of Turin, Italy, is Virginia Adriano. She's an opposite hitter. She's great. The two liberos, Olivia Mock and Lainey Choboy, awesome. Middle blocker Andy Jackson. Outside hitter Taylor Landfair. So let me just throw some terms at you, because, guys, it took me about 10 games before I could actually listen to it on the radio. So I listened to Nebraska sweep Oregon yesterday, right? They swept Oregon. That's winning 3 games in a row. So you have to win 3 out of 5. And if you make it to the 5th, if it's 2-2, the 5th game plays up to 15. The first 4 games play up to 25, okay? You got to get 25 points. I think it's win by 2. But anyway, tough to do that. It's tough to sweep. And then there's something called a reverse sweep, which I watched Purdue do yesterday against, Michigan State. Unbelievable. They came back. So they're down 0-2, and they come back to win 3-2. Awesome. So these are some terms. So you need to know the vocabulary, which I had to learn, right? Not going to get into the specifics, but take a look. There's a kill or kills, dig, pancake. Pancake is when they dive, these liberos dive, and they their hand is flat on the floor and the ball hits. How do they do that? This is an unbelievable sport. To me, these are the most fit athletes on the planet, for sure, but more fit than basketball players, I think. All right, you got slide attacks, deflect, floaters, you got aces, blocks, hands in. So when you're blocking, you want to have hands in, hands out, the ball could go out. So I learned that over the top, hands in. Got assists. There's eras. There's an attack era, and then there's a service area. Service is when you're, serving the ball, which to me is like, throwing free throws. Like, you could practice that on your own. And man, there's some great servers in the game. Northwestern for sure has some, you could pass. There's hit percentages. So how many times you kind of hit sealed over the net. I learned about that, where you got to kind of seal these blockers jump above the net, and you want to seal the net. There's sweeps. That's if you go 3-0, Nebraska, of course, and reverse sweeps, again, Purdue, Michigan, and there's saves. So there's all sorts of vocabulary that you need to learn, which isn't hard, because when you're watching the game, especially if you're watching it, I watch it on the Big Ten Network, and it's an amazing game, all right? It's an amazing game, but let me tell you what I found to be the top 10 lessons learned from women's volleyball. Number 1, stay positive. Even in defeat. These women are always positive. No matter what happens, they stay positive. They kind of rally together. They group together. Number 2, never quit. They never quit. Even when they're down, even when they're getting pummeled, they never quit. Number 3, teamwork is everything, because it is a team. You got 6 players out there, but you have to play as a team. I mean, they hit this ball so hard. I can't believe it. I mean, women get hit in the face. It's incredible how but teamwork, and they always rally together. What impresses me is after every point, whether you win the point or lose the point, they come together as a group. They rally back together, and they refocus, which is number 4, stay focused, even in defeat. Now, when I say defeat, I mean when you lose the point. These women always stay focused. They come back. They don't get negative. They don't get down on themselves, okay? Number 5, stay strong, nimble, and fit. Like I'm telling you, these women, what I've seen hundreds of volleyball players, aside from being, 6'2", 6'4", they are the most fit female athletes I've ever seen in my lifetime of any sport. They're tough. They're strong. I mean, they're diving. Everybody dives. It's like insane. They're going almost diving into the seats like Derek Jeter back in the day. All right, number 6, celebrate the small victories. That's what I love about it. Every time they score a point, they're like celebrating. They're slapping high fives, whatever. And even in defeat, you're rallying back together, saying, let's get it back together. We got the next one. I feel that. Number 7, recalibrate the small defeats. Again, every time they lose a point, these women rally back together, middle of the court, kind of arms around each other, and whatever they're talking, it's like basically saying, we got this. Never quit, right? All right, number 8, stay committed. It's like they're always committed to the cause. They're committed to themselves. They're committed to the team. They're committed to each other, but they're committed to winning, always believing they can win. No matter how far down they get, they believe they can win. Number 9, be sportsmanlike at all times. You'll never see a fight in volleyball ever. I mean, you see that in women's basketball. It's crazy. But even in defeat, they're very sportsmanlike. And it's all about the positivity that I see. It exudes positivity. I'm telling you, I love watching this sport now. Never knew anything about it, but to me, it's incredible to watch. It's fast-paced. All right, how about this? Number 10, the last one. The last lesson learned from women's volleyball. Believe you can. Because they always believe they can. It seems like, it's amazing that you don't ever see a frown on their face. They're always smiling. They always believe they could come back. And let me tell you, when you watch Purdue, number 10 in the nation, come back, they're down 2-0, but it doesn't faze them. They come back and win 3-2. I mean, talk about believe that you can no matter what. And I'm telling you, top 10 lessons learned from women's volleyball. Everyone should be watching this sport. No doubt every young gal or girl on the planet should be watching these women and should be aspiring to be them, because there's greatness there. There's total greatness. All right, on that note, speaking of greatness, let's switch over to this movie, August 1987, romantic dramedy. Everybody knows Dirty Dancing, right? In the last show, number 199, I talked about how I added the 3 movies back to the top 30 of the 80s. Remember? What were the other 2? Anybody? Footloose? Remember that? Flashdance. Dirty Dancing. First of all, Patrick Swayze, rest in peace. He died at the age of 57. Very sad. He was 34 years old when he made that movie. Jennifer Grey was 26. He plays Johnny Castle. the dance instructor. And then Jennifer plays Frances Baby Houseman, who I love in that movie. Also, Jerry Orbach. You guys know I'm a Law and Order fan. Love Jerry. Rest in peace. He died 21 years ago. And Cynthia Rhodes. Cynthia Rhodes is a great dancer. I loved her in Anybody know? Staying Alive. She was Tony Manero's Travolta. Everybody knows that. She was the girlfriend. By the way, Stallone directed and produced that movie from 1983. I didn't put that in the top 30, but you know what? I love that movie. That's another great dance movie. She played Penny in that movie, the girlfriend who kind of hung in there with Travolta. But anyway, getting back to Dirty Dancing, it takes place in the summer of 1963. I was born in 1963. I remember, look at all the cars in that movie are really cool. It takes place at a New York Catskills resort, but the movie was filmed in North Carolina and Virginia. What's interesting about it is they said they had to battle 105-degree weather inside when they were filming because you got all these lights. It's 120 degrees. They said Patrick Swayze, I think, had to go to the hospital once. I mean, very impressive, even shooting that. It took 43 days. They finished on time and on budget, which is very rare for movies, especially today. And here's something you probably didn't know. So for the part of Baby, Jennifer Grey, they considered Winona Ryder, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Sharon Stone. Well, I'm glad Jennifer Grey got it because they had tremendous chemistry, the two of them. And speaking of Johnny, Patrick Swayze, they considered Billy Zane, Val Kilmer, and Benicio del Toro. But I'm a huge Swayze fan, so no doubt it was also considered, in this movie, Penny, who experiences an abortion by abortion rights activists, said this is the gold standard for the cinematic portrayal of abortion. So, what about this? What about this movie? Which I thought was, again, one of the best, but it won tons of awards for what? The music. You guys remember the music? First of all, Patrick Swayze, She's Like the Wind. That's his song. I mean, that's a great scene, right? That's a great scene. Got to go watch this movie again. It came on. I said, I got to watch it. That was like a good omen. So it won 10 awards. It won Golden Globes. It won a Grammy for that. But it held the album, the Dirty Dancing album, held the #1 spot in the Billboard album charts for 4 months. Everybody, I remember that. Everybody loved that. Sold over 14 million copies. No doubt that's a huge number. And it won the Academy Award for Best Original Song, The Time of My Life, right? When he's at the very end dancing. But let me tell you, this film also won Best First Feature at the Independent Spirit Awards. So if you didn't like that movie, or if you haven't watched that movie, you need to go back and watch Dirty Dancing. Talk about uplifting, okay? It's heartfelt, it's uplifting, it's happy, it's sad. What I like about movies is when you could laugh, when you could cry, when you could rejoice, but when you connect to something in that movie that's going to make you feel, okay? That's what great movies are all about. It's going to make you feel. It's very exciting. And then talk about dance. It makes you just want to get up and dance, especially that last scene when he lifts her up. And all right. So here's the good news with this, right? They've not made a sequel. They say they're talking about it. They're still waiting for that. They did do a 3-hour musical remake. Got negative reviews. That was 2017. They did a stage adaptation, a musical in 2007, and they did a prequel, Havana Nights. That got negative reviews in 2004, but they did bring back Patrick Swayze for one scene. I believe they paid him $5 million. So kudos to Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey for this tremendous movie that you could watch over and over again, just like women's volleyball. You could watch over and over again. And I'm looking forward to next month, guys. The season ends this month. Next month, Nebraska all the way. Yeah, become a Huskers fan. What could I say? Go Big Red. And guys, go watch some volleyball. Go watch Dirty Dancing. And whatever you do, as always, get your workout in. Peace.